Would Tennessee football have been better with Nico at quarterback this year based on what it's gotten from Joey Aguilar? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols, and I am Cain. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 podcast network. How about that? Congratulations to the network, and all because of you guys. You every day are here to this show, and of course all the shows across this great podcasting network. Now the #1 podcasting network out there. That is fantastic. So congrats to that, and big shout out to you guys for making that happen. This episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You can download the app today. I am Cain, a member of the VolQuest.com team here in town, covering your Tennessee Volunteers each and every single day. Got a fun show coming up here today. We're going to look at New Mexico State later in the show, get our first glance at the Aggies and what Tennessee is going to be in store for this Saturday when he gets back out there on the football field. Feels like forever, right? Second bye week of the season has come and gone. It's now back into game week. We'll look at Tennessee's win over Northern Kentucky and what JP Estrella can mean for this basketball team coming up in segment number 2. But first, a question. Joey Aguilar or Nico Iamaleava, which one would have been or was, okay, let me phrase this, which one would have served Tennessee best in 2025? And you know, to me, and you might be sitting here thinking this is old news, you know, who cares? You know, Nico's been gone forever. And yes, all that is true. But, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm having a conversation with my buddies. And, you know, guys are guys. We make fun of one another and we give each other a hard time. And when somebody has just the worst take ever in the world, you're going to make sure you call them out on it. And when you have a platform where you have a show, you're going to spend a segment talking about why that take is just utterly, utterly wrong. You know, we talked about it a little bit. And, of course, you know, the turnovers have been there. 8 picks on the season for Joey Aguilar. And a couple of those picks against Oklahoma in the first half, I mean, it changed the game, right? I mean, those 2 picks, the pick 6 before halftime at Alabama, those were horrendous throws. Those were horrendous decisions at points in times. Those were bad, okay? I mean, there's nobody disputing that. Some of his interceptions this year, I mean, obviously, you had Braylon Staley that fell down. You had pass interference where the ball was bit up into the air. You had an arm punt. You had 2 off the hands of Miles Kitselman. I mean, again, we can play this game all day. But those 3 that I referenced a moment ago, the 2 against Oklahoma and the 1 against Alabama, you know, before the half, those were bad. Those were bad. But for anyone to make the case that you'd rather have Nico Iamaleava this year based on what you've seen from Joey Aguilar, what are you talking about? Do you live under a rock? How much football do you watch? Do you understand football? Oh, yeah, I'm talking to my buddy right now. I told him, like, hey, I'm going to spend time talking about this. I'm going to be fair, though. I'm going to be fair because that's what I am. And it just kind of opened up a bigger conversation for me. You go back, and I mean, I'm rooting for nobody's downfall. I mean, I don't want anybody to not succeed or anything. So, you know, I hope Nico's doing well. And you know, I've seen him play a couple times this year, and his stats are, you know, what they are. And I'm glad UCLA started winning some games because, gosh, the start of the season was just brutal. I mean, it was secondhand embarrassment almost, just how bad it was, right? But, I mean, he's doing an okay job over there. But, you know, could he have finally blossomed into the quarterback that everybody thought he was going to be this year? I don't know. You know, we'll never know. I felt like I was one of the biggest Nico defenders ever last year, end of the offseason. You know, everybody was done and tired and wanted to move on, all this type of stuff. And I just kept on saying, I mean, I hear you. There's another level there. And if that level is reached here, boy, that's going to be a really, really good quarterback. But that never happened, at least when Nico was here. Joey Aguilar comes in, hardly any hype, no expectations. Tennessee's the laughing stock of college football because, you know, Nico Iamaleava leaves the team on the final day of spring ball, okay? It was a horrible situation, an ugly situation, an embarrassing situation. And for Nico and his camp, it was kind of an ugly situation, just, you know, how you handle that whole thing, right? And you go get Joey Aguilar, and all he's done is come in and through 9 games this season, led the SEC in passing, led the SEC in touchdown passes, 3rd in quarterback rating, top 5 or 6 in completion percentage. I mean, Joey Aguilar has been fantastic. So, again, you can be mad and frustrated, but And if you're one of those super fans, in my opinion, that's just out on players or out on coaches, and you just start saying silly stuff, well, this is an example of that. And so we're going to come to the yard. We're going to show you why that take is just so silly, in my opinion. So, and maybe you're in this camp as well, but if you are, let's look at the numbers real quick, shall we? In 2025, you have Joey Aguilar that is thrown for 2,737 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He has a QBR of 76.1. That's 22nd in the nation. He has a quarterback rating that is third in the SEC, or was third in the SEC before this last weekend. He's done really, really well. Nico Iamaleava, all right? He started to turn this season around a little bit. He's thrown for 1,468 yards, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Got a QBR of 65, which is 55th in the nation. Where Nico is different, and this is one of the points made by my buddy, where Nico is different than Joey Aguilar is on the ground game. He has 388 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. That's 30 yards more than he had with Tennessee last year in 13 games. And, of course, UCLA still has a couple of games left to go. So, yeah, he's a difference maker on the ground for sure, and I think UCLA's ran him as well. But, I mean, we're not talking like Michael Vick numbers here, okay? So anybody that's going to point to that, I think it's kind of a silly argument for that being the tiebreaker between these two quarterbacks or whatever. UCLA's offense is different from Tennessee's offense, sure. Among some of the things that were rumored to be said and rumored to be reasons why Nico and his camp wanted to leave Tennessee was because they wanted more playmakers around him. They wanted to play in a better offense that's different. But again, they wanted more talent around him. Okay, Chris Brazzell, Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, they've been pretty good this year. They've been very good this year. And I couldn't name you one wide receiver that UCLA has that Nico's been throwing the football to. So there's those just basic numbers. You look at Joey Aguilar. Again, we do this every week when we break down the quarter matchups, but I'm going to save you some time here, and I'm just going to go passes 10 yards or more down the field. Listen to this. This is throws literally just 10 yards or more down the field this season. Okay? Joey Aguilar is 65 for 115 in this category. He's completed 56% of said passes, okay, for 1,557 yards, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So throws 10 yards or more down the field. Aguilar, this year, 18 tutties, 4 interceptions, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 56% completion, 1,557 yards. You go to Nico Iamaleava in the same category. 10 yards or more down the field. 45 of 96, so he's completed 20 less passes. He's attempted 19 less of those passes. 46%, 797 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So literally, throwing the football 10 yards or more down the field, Joey Aguilar has, well over 700 more passing yards, 20 more completions, 19 more attempts, 10 percentage points better in completion, 12 more touchdowns, and the same amount of interceptions. I mean, what are we doing here? Look at Nico, and something that Nico couldn't figure out here at Tennessee, whether it was him, whether it was receivers, whether it was whatever it was, just couldn't get the deep ball caught. Just couldn't get the deep ball going. Couldn't get the deep ball rolling. Nico this year at UCLA, he is 5 for 28. Passes 20 yards or more down the field, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 142 yards. That's so bad. Or at least that's so bad when you compare it to Joey Aguilar. Again, 5 completions of passes 20 yards or more down the field. That is Cutter Boley-esque before he went off against Tennessee a couple weeks ago. 5 completions, 20 yards or more down the field for Nico this year. 24 for Joey Aguilar. 28 attempts, 47 attempts for Joey Aguilar. Nico, 17.9% completion on those said passes. Aguilar, 51.1%. 12 touchdowns for Aguilar, 2 touchdowns for Nico, 1 pick for Nico, and 3 picks for Joey Aguilar. I mean, this is not even a contest. This is not even worth discussing, but I think it kind of, not just my buddy that's just being silly about this whole thing, but I think this is kind of coming into where we are in the season. 5 ranked teams lost ahead of Tennessee on Saturday. I'm not saying Tennessee, if you went out, you're a playoff team or anything, but I mean it's not completely dead, right? You're not at 0.00001%. I'd still think it's very unlikely, but I thought it was very unlikely that Tony Vitello was going to the San Francisco Giants, right? But you kind of where you are in the season, where some fans are so frustrated that you start turning on a coach or on a player or whatever. And sure, Aguilar did not play his best game against Oklahoma. Absolutely not. To sit here and say that you would rather have Nico Iamaleava based on what he's doing at UCLA, based on what he did at Tennessee in years prior, compared to what we've seen from Joey Aguilar this year at Tennessee, that is just about the silliest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. That is preposterous. I'm actually speechless that anybody could actually say that with a straight face. But as I told him, hey, it's content for my show, so I do appreciate you. I mean, if anybody else is kind of in that camp, and I'm not talking about potential, sure, like I was one of the biggest Nico defenders ever. Like, there's still another level there, and boy, he can be a very good quarterback. He still has not unlocked it. He never unlocked it at Tennessee. He's not done it at UCLA just yet. So we're not talking potential. We're talking about what's happening now. If you put these two quarterbacks in front of NFL scouts, you're going to say, oh, give me that Iamaleava guy. Give me Nico. Why? Because his measurables match up to the NFL game. Because the potential's so much greater than that of Joey Aguilar. But if you show me based on performance and what these guys have done, it is absolutely no contest. So if anybody else is in this camp, let me hear from you. We got Talk to Me Tuesday coming up tomorrow. Mailbag questions. We'll be answering those on tomorrow's show. Let me know. I think this is so silly. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't think so. But I think this is so funny that even one person might be thinking this realm. And, well, that's one of my friends. He's a super fan. And that's, again, fan is short for fanatic. But wanted to bring this on and discuss this here. All right, when we come back, Tennessee basketball shot the daylights out of the basketball against Northern Kentucky. JP Estrella, could he be the X factor for Tennessee this year? That's coming up next right here on your Monday Locked On Vols. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means it's time to get to your home, your home ready to roll. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, fun serveware for holiday hosting, Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. I recently upgraded some dining room chairs, a rug in the living room with Wayfair, and it completely transformed the room, my wife tells me. I couldn't believe how fast everything was shipped just in time for the holidays, right? This is the holiday season, and you celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving together because that's how normal people do it, all right? If you've ever hosted family for the holidays, you know just how much a difference a few touches can make. Wayfair makes that easy. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals today. Head on over to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December the 7th. That's Wayfair. Thank you guys for making Locked On Vols your first listen of the day, your first watch of the day, and thank you guys so much for making the Locked On Network the #1 sports podcasting network out there right now. Quite an accomplishment. We could not do it without you guys, so thank you. Thank you so very much. Okay, so Tennessee basketball, a big win over Northern Kentucky on Saturday. I say big win, I mean literally on the scoreboard. It's not like Northern Kentucky is going to be challenging for a national championship this year. Tennessee won 95-56. Tennessee just shot the daylights out of the basketball in the first half. They made 10 three-pointers. 10 three-pointers in the first half. How about that? 10 of 19 from behind the arc in the first half. They shot 52% from the field in the first half, coupled that with 51% from the field. In the second half, Tennessee shot 52% overall in the game. Only 2 3-pointers made in the second half, so it was 12 for 29, 41% from downtown. But again, you shoot and connect on 10 made 3-pointers in the first half. It's going to be hard to beat that basketball team. I don't care who you're playing. Tennessee, again, 95-56 over Northern Kentucky. Tennessee is now 2-0 on the season as it continues its lighter portion here of the beginning of the season, but make no mistake about it, that will change here soon whenever Tennessee goes to Las Vegas for the Players Era tournament and, of course, gets into SEC play. They also play Illinois. They play So, okay, here we go. Here's the schedule. In the Players Era Championship, they play Rutgers, Houston, and one of two teams that we don't know just yet. They play Syracuse in the ACC SEC Challenge. And the Music City Madness, they play the Illini. They got Louisville on the schedule again. And, of course, then you get into SEC play. So that schedule is going to get tough, right? But you're starting the season off on some pretty manageable games to where you can kind of figure out your rotation a little bit, right? Took down Mercer 76-61 in a game where Tennessee turned the basketball over 19 times. Yikes. 95-56 in the game where Tennessee went from 19 turnovers the game before to 12 turnovers. So that looked obviously a whole lot better. You got North Florida on Wednesday of this week. Monday you play Rice, and then Tennessee State comes to town on Thursday, the 20th, before Tennessee heads out to Las Vegas for the New Era Championship. Okay, so back to the game against the Norse. Same two guys we're going to be talking about all season long, right? Tennessee wins such and such, led by Nate Ament, 23 points, 8 rebounds, and Jacoby Gillespie, 20 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds off 8 for 14 shooting. Gillespie, 8 of 14 shooting, 4 of 10 from downtown, so he made 4 3-pointers. Nate's Ament, 6 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown, 9 of 10 from the charity stripe. So got fouled a lot and made them pay. 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Again, Ament just does literally everything to help your team win. So expected efforts from Ament, 23 points. Gillespie, 20 points, 4 3-pointers. You had 8 points from Ethan Berg in a little over 16 minutes. But in my opinion, the story of this basketball game was JP Estrella. JP Estrella, 17 points in 20 minutes played, 11 rebounds, so a double-double, 8 of 11 from the field, okay? He had 3 assists, turned the basketball over twice, but 17 points in 20 minutes, 11 rebounds. I mean, he gives Tennessee an option that Tennessee hasn't really had in quite some time. Tennessee's not been an inside-out playing basketball team since the Grant and the Admiral years. With Okpara, with Jalen Carey, with JP Estrella, you know, with all that to work with, Tennessee can certainly be an inside-out team, at least more so than it's been in the years past. And I think JP Estrella, if he can stay healthy, man, he could be a key cog in that. Like, he got a lot of run against Purdue in the Elite Eight game at the end of his freshman season. And Rick Barnes has been quoted, and he was quoted the other day again saying he started to figure it out. He started to look like he was figuring it out. And then, of course, he ran into the foot issues, played just 25 minutes over 3 games or whatever, ran into the foot issue and, you know, missed his entire season last year, came back in the offseason, had a boot on a couple different times. He wasn't 100% the entire way, and then he got healthy, and now we're going to kind of see what he's got. But, man, if Tennessee can play inside out with a 6'11", 240-pound JP Estrella that, oh yeah, has some outside range, right? He shot a 3 and missed it the other day, but he made a 3 in the season opener against Mercer last week. His athleticism, it's really challenging to defend, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And Rick Barnes says, hey, he still has so much left in the tank, right? Quote, this is after the game. And he still doesn't have a clue how good he can be. That was his first double-double of his career with 17 points and 11 rebounds. Rick Barnes says, quote, it changes everything, and he can do more. I promise you he can do more of that. He continued to say he can do more. He can do even more. He said, quote, you think back at the end of his freshman year, you felt like he was making some strides. Again, as I just said that he said. He says, quote, there's so much more there. I think he can get better. He will get there. The more you do, the more people are going to come after you quicker, and you're not able to play around with it. He's going to have to be able to get set to score the ball before he really gets it. But he's making strides, and like I said, he's just getting started. So I think the message in terms of JP Estrella from his head basketball coach, Rick Barnes, was he can do and he will do a whole lot more moving forward. So the story for me is JP Estrella because I think it changes the way Tennessee can be offensively, something Tennessee has not been able to do really in 6-7 years or so. So I think that's exciting. And then, of course, you have Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie that can do a little bit of everything. And Jalen Carey is a guy that's played in this league and can bang down low, and he's a guy that will help in that regard. And you couple those two guys. You got Dwayne Brown, that's such a big physical presence Dwayne Brown II, the freshman. They can help out with that a little bit as well. And Cade Phillips, who I haven't mentioned, Felix Akpara, who's a returning starter from an Elite Eight team. I mean, again, there's so many different options down low. I'm excited to see what that can look like. Tennessee, again, just dominating this game. Again, 19 turnovers against Mercer earlier in the week. Only 12 in this basketball game. 24 assists to only 11 assists for Northern Kentucky. Yeah, Tennessee scoring 20 points off turnovers, 42 points in the paint, 17 second chance points, 22 in transition, 37 off the bench. Of course, you know, when you're not starting the Estrellas, the Bergs, the Careys, you know, you're going to get some points off there. The starting five actually was Nate Ament, Cade Phillips, Felix Akpara, Jacoby Gillespie, and Bishop Boswell. So there's been a different starting five each of the first two games this season, but you know, I'm excited to kind of see what that best looking five is. But it doesn't matter. I mean, even if you're not in the starting five, kind of like Scott Ziegler was forever, right? Like you were still averaging starter minutes. Tennessee led by 39. Did Tennessee end up winning by 39? Yes, Tennessee won by 39 points. So the biggest lead was the 39. That's where Tennessee ended it. Tennessee had 14-point scoring run to end the first half. Tennessee had the lead in this basketball game nearly 38 minutes. So, again, it was about whooping, just what we'd expected. But the story in this basketball game, JP Estrella and what this can mean for Tennessee to go along with two guys that are going to be so exciting all season long, Jacoby Gillespie and Nate Ament. And that's already been abundantly clear so far in the first couple of games. All right, when we come back, let's get a first glance, a quick look at the Aggies of New Mexico State. What is Tennessee in for this week for homecoming at Neyland Stadium? That is coming up next right here on your Monday morning Locked On Vols. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than over at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Yesterday, NFL Sunday, right? As soon as you wake up, you've got the game overseas, and then you get the regular slate of 1 o'clock games, and then 4 o'clock games, and then you got Sunday Night Football, and it is so much fun, and you watch football up until like midnight around here in the Eastern Time Zone, and I know that's why they say, everybody says Central Time Zone's the best, but it's a day full of football. What more can you ask? And, you know, I'm over there, you know, looking at, you know, live lines and some of those same game parlays all day there on my NFL Sunday. Plus, I'm going to do it now with the NBA as well. You can as well. New customers are giving FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com, sign up, play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and it is where you can make every moment more. That's FanDuel. We got a final segment left here this Monday morning. Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys for being here. Don't forget, get in those questions, those comments, those concerns for the Talk to Me Tuesday mailbag questions. We accept those on Tuesday's show at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. All right, so we got just a couple of minutes left here. Went a little overboard talking the Nico Joey segment in segment 1. And, of course, the basketball segments, Tennessee's win over Northern Kentucky. Did want to get a look at New Mexico State. Again, this is not a very good football team. All right, Conference USA team. Tony Sanchez is the head coach, second season. He's got a 6-15 record. You've got New Mexico State that is 3-6, 1-5 in Conference USA play. Jerry Max, Kennesaw State Owls, edged them out. Held on for a win. It was homecoming for New Mexico State, actually, but Kennesaw State was able to hold on for the win, 24-21 on Saturday. Of course, we know Tennessee was off for the second bye week of the season. You have New Mexico State that has dropped 4 straight games, and they've lost 6 of their past 7 games after opening the season with 2 wins. One over Bryant, 19-3 was that final score, and Tulsa, 21-14. 21-14, that final score to begin the 2025 campaign. Last season, New Mexico State finished last in Conference USA with a 3-9 overall record, 2-6 mark in league play. Obviously, this is Tony Sanchez's second year at the helm, so that means there was a head coaching change a couple years ago. And I've noticed, because on all these rosters that I'm doing for these scouting the opponents or these first glances, or when I'm talking about doing my research for this show, I'm noticing transfer from New Mexico State everywhere. Mike Washington, running back at Arkansas. Seth McGowan, running back at Kentucky. Both those guys were all Conference USA tailbacks in the same backfield last year for New Mexico State. So maybe it took a year or two after the head coaching change, but everybody's transferred. And when you're as bad as New Mexico State was, but you have some talent, obviously those lower level programs are almost like feeders to Power 4 institutions. And that to me is the unfortunate part of this transfer portal era that we live in. Because it stinks, man. If you're a really, really good player at an FCS level or, wherever, a low-level group of 5, chances are you can get a payday and he can go up. If you're a really, really good player in Division II, why are you staying in Division II? It's not as much as others that we're talking about, but if you're a really, really good player in Division II, which there are NFL players in Division II, trust me, there's a couple, why are you staying there, right? You know what I'm saying? So, that's the unintended consequences of the transfer portal. This situation is where, they were just so bad they were going to leave anyway. So, I think that I've seen a lot of New Mexico State transfers all across the place the last couple of years. The offense has not been good whatsoever, averaging 21 points, 303 yards of total offense a game, 234 yards through the air, 69 rushing yards on average on the ground. That is not good. They've managed only 18 offensive touchdowns. 18 offensive touchdowns to date. They turned the football over 17 times, which is really, that's a lot. They convert third downs at 40%. They score touchdowns in the red zone at 52%. Logan Fife is the quarterback. He began his career at Fresno State, transferred to Montana, and played at Montana last year where he made 8 starts. He's got 2,072 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 55% completion, averaging 230 yards a contest. So he's their best bet. He's just going to sling it. If it's picked off, it's picked off. That's kind of been the mindset so far this season for Logan Five. Donovan Folpool has been a bright spot in the receiving game. 43 catches, 503 yards, 5 touchdowns. Those are all team highs. He's also thrown a 34-yard touchdown on the season. I'm sure that was a double pass of some sorts. Central Michigan tight end transfer Gavin Harris, second on the team with 30 receptions. Wyoming transfer TK King registers 284 yards on 19 catches. Veteran PJ Johnson, who had all freshman honors a season ago for Conference USA. He's at 18 catches, 229 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Brody Malone Bradford. He has 2 touchdowns on 11 catches. Here's what's interesting. The 2024 leading receiver for New Mexico State that didn't enter the portal or anything, TJ Pride, he just has 1 touchdown on the season. He is way down the stat sheet. And, of course, he's played in all these games as well. I guess that's what happens when you get some transfers to come in. They've given up 27 sacks this season. 27 sacks this year offensively. That is awful. Just awful. I mentioned in the backfield, they lost Mike Washington, who's now in Arkansas. They lost Seth McGowan, who's now at Kentucky. Kadarius Callaway from Cal, the leading rusher, averages 3.6 yards per carry. Dejon Staley from Utah, he averages 3.4 yards per carry. That's kind of the way they go about things offensively. Defensively, man, from how bad it was a year ago, it's actually a really good job defensively. The offense is just so bad, too, it makes it look even better. But these numbers aren't horrible in terms of Conference USA level competition. Listen to this. He gave up 25 points per game, 394 yards total offense. They gave up 36 points per game and well over 400 last year, so that's an improvement. They allow 245 yards through the air, 148 yards on the ground. They've got 20 takeaways. So keep in mind here, they turned it over 17 times. Defensively, they have 20 takeaways. So New Mexico State as a team is just +3 in the turnover margin. And you're like, oh, well, that's not that good. But holy crap, they turned it over a ton and they generated a ton of takeaways. So when you look at the numbers specifically, it's actually really impressive. They've only sacked the quarterback 16 times. That's clearly not good enough. They've only made 48 stops behind the line of scrimmage. So they've improved in a lot of areas. Still have a long way to go in the line of scrimmage numbers. 41% on third downs. They allow touchdowns 55% of the time in the red zone. But across the board, significant improvement for New Mexico State defensively compared to just how bad it was a season ago. Strength in the back end, Nateen Mitchell. My middle name's Mitchell. His last name is Mitchell. Hey-yo. Team best 70 tackles, 3 picks. Nick Sessions, a linebacker, 52 tackles. You've got Torrey Geathers, who's second on the team with 67 tackles, 3 sacks. Up front, Ezra Christensen, 6 sacks, 9 TFLs. Of course, leads the team in that regard. So they've got some numbers. They've got some players who've done some things. But overall, this is a game that Tennessee should win by as much as it wants to. It should play as long as it wants to. It should dictate every single move that's made on that football field for the homecoming bout, and that's what I'm expecting. So, can only do one thing at a time, right? You can't go back and change anything in the season. You can't go and hope other teams lose for you. All you can do is play the football game in front of you, do that, and then go focus on Florida. Do this, and then go focus on winning the Swamp for the first time since 2003. But we got to get past New Mexico State first, and I expect Tennessee to do that again by as much as it wants to. All right, that is going to do it here for today's Locked On Vols. Appreciate you for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcasting network. How about that? Incredible work. So we can't thank you guys enough for that. Talk to Me Tuesday. Mailbag questions will be accepted on tomorrow's show, so get those in at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. Thank you guys so much, you guys and gals, for being here. Let's get this week started off right with Locked On Vols. Check out Locked On SEC. Make that your second listen here this morning. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk again tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.